All right, well, I'm here, day 2 of the Blister Summit 2023, and I'm joined with Ethan Korpi of Nordica. So welcome, Ethan. We're super glad you guys are here.
Thank you. Yeah, this is our first Blister Summit, so we're super psyched to be here. It's been a blast.
Yeah, awesome to have you. And so please just give me a bit of background on your history with Nordica and what your role with the company is.
Yeah, I think that's it's maybe going to be a little bit of a long answer because I've been with the brand for 15 years now, which is, I'm only 40 years old, so
that's a long time.
It's been a long time. It's been a big part of my life, which is it's been really fun and been able to see the brand kind of go through some ebbs and flows. And I first started out as a tech rep, bottom of the barrel, slinging demos in New England, actually. And then moved on to helping out with the race department and then managed the race department for about 5 or 6 years, I want to say. And then switched over to the Butte product management side. I was with alongside Sam Beck, who was our ski product manager at the time. And we had a lot of work to do at the time within our collection. So it was really fun to get to know the Europeans really well who had just started in product management around that same time. So it was really fun. We were kind of this core team, like really in it together to make a lot of positive changes that we needed to make at the time. And we had just an incredible inertia and team around us. And then there was a need for Sam to move into the marketing side of things. So I inherited skis, and Boots, held on to Boots as well, and have managed skis and boots ever since, and very recently have taken on the director of marketing as well.
Wow.
So
it's a big job.
Yeah, so that's kind of it's been fun though, kind of ramping up and kind of allowing myself to become kind of a little bit of a master before moving on to the next rung on the ladder. So it's been a fun ride, and yeah, I can't believe how fast 15 years goes.
Yeah, 15 years is a long time in the ski industry. A lot has changed in 15 years, especially with Nordica.
Absolutely, yeah.
And so I think from there we can jump into what has become the staple line in Nordica, and a line that Blister has followed closely for many years now.
Yeah.
And so we'll just speak to those products, which is of course the Enforcer and Santa Ana series.
Yeah,
so
I mean that's a perfect segue, and we always like to kind of joke at Nordica. We've been building skis for a long time. We actually didn't start selling skis until we came out with the Enforcer, and interestingly enough, that was 9 years ago, and we launched the original Enforcer 100, and it was really fun, to see something that was just so well received by everyone. We always felt like we really made good skis, but we were always missing by like 5-10%, and we added 10% and then some to the Enforcer 100, and it was just the Enforcer at the time because it was the only one we had. And it took off, and we've been working very hard on the Enforcer line and the Santa Ana line, which you guys are seeing right here, ever since then, to make sure that we're continuing to push the envelope and making the best shapes and the best constructions for this category. And it's really put us on the map as a ski brand.
Yeah, absolutely, and definitely some staple skis in that line.
Yeah.
And 100 being one that is pretty well known across the country and I'd say the world.
Yeah.
Do you want to just kind of dive into the Enforcer line as far as what the offerings are? And
absolutely. So we have the Enforcer 110 and the 104. Those are Enforcer free, and the distinction there is in the profiling. You can see a little bit more rocker in the tip and the tail, a little bit more rocker height and depth, but it still has that Enforcer feel to it. Really, still has that full wood core construction, vertical laminated, 2 sheets of metal, very classic performance construction. For this category. And then we have what we consider kind of our regular Enforcers, our all-mountain Enforcers, which we have the 100, the 94, and then our narrowest 88. And everything kind of scales down from that 110 being obviously more off-trail with that 110 and then more on-trail as you get down to that 88. And adjusting not so much the side cuts, but the profiles of the skis, but keeping that same construction rolling all the way through. It's proven to be pretty successful. And we take that same tact on the Santa Ana side. We actually removed the Santa Ana 110 out of the line this year because we have a new Unleashed 108 that we'll get to in a little bit. But one of the things we don't like to do at Nordica is compete within our own line for skis. So it doesn't really make sense to have skis that are close to 110, 2 of them in your collection for us as a brand. So we start the Santa Ana line at a 104 and trickle it all the way down to actually an 84, kind of following that same philosophy. The construction difference that we have with Santana is our train-specific metal, and it would be really great to have a little cutout here right now. But it's basically a single sheet of metal that's cut out to, reduce the weight, but also, probably and more importantly, take away that overpowering metal feel that you can have in a ski. And it's something that we learned a lot with over the years building Santana. First, we had 2 sheets of metal in the Santana, and it was and we tried to play with the wood core to get it, kind of soft and easy enough for, the market, essentially. The top 1% loved them, but everyone else was like, yeah, man, that's a lot of stick. Mm-hmm. And then we went the opposite direction. We took all the metal out, and, we alienated a lot of great skiers out there, and we felt like, we could find something in the middle. So we came up with this train-specific metal technology, and it's been, clicking ever since, and really helped put Santana on the map.
Yeah.
So it's been a wild ride. It's actually our fastest growing ski category for like the last 5 years. So it's been really cool to see the success and momentum of Santana.
Yeah, that's excellent. And thanks for kind of clarifying that as far as what actually makes that a women's-specific ski.
Yeah.
I love the transparency there, so that's great. And having skied probably every version of the Santana, I like where we're at right now.
Yes.
Yeah, and the 104 Free still being a nice, powerful ski, but something that is still quite maneuverable and accessible as well.
Yeah, and I'm full transparency, man, my favorite shape too. I ski the Enforcer 104, and depending on the terrain, it's in the 191 or 186 pretty much every day. Yeah, if I'm gonna not know what the conditions are like, I'm just gonna grab that 104. But I know the 100 is that for some customers as well. So, yeah, those, I don't know. I go back and forth. I'm still confused about which one is my favorite, but yeah.
Yeah. And this 23-24 series, we're holding steady. There hasn't been any.
So there are no construction changes. Mm-hmm. The only thing that we do is keep the graphics fresh and updated every single year. That's been one of our things that we've always done with Enforcer and Santana. Every year we try to come up with consistent but fresh new looks and identities to the skis. So we're continuing on with that kind of heritage into this year. But yeah, no construction changes. If it's not broke, don't fix it.
Yeah. All right. Well, of course, it's been fun to track the evolution of Enforcer and Santa Ana with the development of the Unlimited series of that. So let's just dive into that a bit. Kind of tell me where this came about and maybe who the ski is for.
Yeah, this was interesting. This ski came from a lot of pressure, I would say, from the marketplace, to be honest. I mean, people love the Enforcers. They love the Santa Anas, and they wanted to take that experience to other places on the mountain. They wanted to take it into maybe a little bit of a lighter weight experience for hiking and touring, or if it was just a little bit too much ski for some people, they wanted something that was a little bit easier, a little bit more playful. So we had been getting bombarded from the market, like, make me a lightweight Enforcer, make me a lightweight in Santa Ana. And, we were very resistant about that because we wanted to make sure that the focus was on Enforcer, it was on Santa Ana. But as we started to mature as a ski brand and become, much, much stronger with our position and understanding where we're headed with our boot development line, because we didn't have actually a boot to what we considered to be paired with this ski. When we knew that was coming down, we're like, okay, now it's time. And we have a lot of experience with building lighter weight constructions that come out of our factory. And we had actually been tinkering with it for a couple of years prior. With just for different applications, be it for athletes or for just our ski product manager over in Europe. He loves to tour, and he wanted to, of course, do some ski touring and some backcountry skiing on Nordica skis. So it's been something we had been playing with, and then that with kind of the outcry from the marketplace, we were like, okay, then now is the time. And so here we have the Enforcer and Santana Unlimited series, and it comes in 3 different waist widths. It comes in a 104, a 94, and an 88. Kind of playing off of the strongest models that we have, of course, in the Enforcer and Santana line. But again, targeting that focus a little bit, not offering every single model, just waist widths that we feel like that meet the needs of what the skier is looking for.
Mm-hmm. And so maybe before we get into some of the specifics of each ski, how did you go about lightening the construction-wise,
yes.
What's going on?
Yeah. So we use a lighter weight wood core, right? Instead of using a little bit more we use beech and poplar in the Enforcer in Santa Ana, and there's different variations, of course, of like the stringers and the amount of beech. Beech is really heavy and dense, so if you just made a beech core, it would be, a full-on rocket ship. So we took that construction, we made a lighter weight construction, and I'm gonna totally not read the number of blends of wood I have in my brain are too much for me to remember, so I can't remember what the blend. So it's a lighter weight wood core, and then we use a lighter weight top sheet. So we knock it down from a 0.7 millimeter down all the way down to, I think it's a 0.3 or 0.4 millimeter top sheet. So that reduces a lot of weight, and a top sheet is essentially just plastic. So if you're reducing about 50% of the weight out of just the top sheets, and the sidewalls are also a little bit thinner as well, and then taking out the metal, that reduces some weight as well. So kind of adding all those things up significantly reduces the weight.
Yeah. And, not totally compromising a lot of those qualities that we did see in the Enforcer in Santa Ana.
And that was our number one goal. Like, this thing says Enforcer, it says Santa Ana, it's got to feel and ski like that first and foremost. Everything we build, it's downhill, alpine oriented, right? It's got to ski great as an all-mountain ski. It's got to ski great, in kind of mixed conditions, which we do a lot in North America, and we weren't going to let that go. We weren't going to just put out a lightweight, tingy ski. And we always talk about building skis in a one-dimensional way is super easy. You and I can sit here and draw the best surfy powder ski on a napkin in about 5 minutes, and it would ski incredible with 2 feet of powder. But skiing in any other environment probably wouldn't be that great. So we always kind of have that approach when we go to actually build a ski. We have, of course, had that in mind when we went to build these 2 skis.
Yeah, fair enough. And then it seems like the line has grown this year. I know you're a year into it now with 22-23 being the first season for Unlimited.
Correct. And so what we did is we carried over the 2 Santa Ana models that we originally launched, the 88, the 93, and then the 3 men's models, the 88, 94, and also the 104. But we had, again, outcries from the marketplace, like, where's my Santa Ana 104 Unlimited? So we brought that into the fold this year and introduced it.
Yeah, and which lengths is the Santa Ana Unlimited 104?
I think we started off at a 158 and then running all the way up to a 179.
Nice.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So a full breadth of the lengths there. So
yeah.
That's one of the things we also kind of pride ourselves on is the number of lengths that we offer within each family.
Yeah, and always offering that longer length on the women's end as well.
Always offering the longest length on the women's. Yeah, I think every Santa Ana except the 84 comes in a 179.
Mm-hmm. And have you seen, as far as obviously a lot of 50-50 oriented skiers who want a ski that can go both resort and backcountry, do you see people actually taking these as a resort specific or?
Absolutely, especially on the women's side, and it's starting to creep a little bit more onto the men's side. Of course, these are lighter weight skis, so they're immediately the trendsetters are going to be looking to bring these skis out on the mountain or out in the backcountry and in the touring environment. But we've seen success at the retail level of bringing these. It's just an all-mountain setup, and that's what we have here down at the Blister Gear Review. We have alpine bindings on these things because they ski really well, especially on a day like today where you get a couple of inches of fresh, and they're just more playful, right? When you take out that 2 sheets of metal, and you lose, of course, a little bit of top-end full gasket performance. That's why we put metal in skis, but they're more playful, they're more fun, and easier to maneuver. So.
Yeah. All right, so next up, we'll dive into the Unleashed. I know this was a whole new lineup for you guys for 22-23.
It was.
And here we are a year in. And so, I just want to hear a bit about how the ski came to be and the whole genesis of that.
Yeah, this was a project actually we started just before COVID. I remember skiing the original prototypes literally 3 weeks before COVID hit, and we were supposed to launch the first ski within this family during that period. Mm-hmm. And COVID shut us down on that project. We moved forward with a bunch of other projects at the time. But this was, Unleashed. We're like, okay, let's just put this one on pause. And I kind of struck a deal with our product manager in Europe. I was like, okay, if we're going to wait 1 year, we need to add another model to the mix, and which actually was probably the smarter thing to do at the time. And the reason why we wanted the Unleashed skis is, again, we were listening to the marketplace and listening to our athletes and hearing this outcry. We needed something a little bit more playful than we currently have than the Enforcer. We made the Enforcer 115, we had the 110, but they weren't necessarily playful enough.
They're still very directional skis.
Yeah, they're very directional, and they tend to be they're great chargey skis for sure, especially in those longer lengths. And athletes love them for that, but they were missing that playful ski that could be out on the hill all day long. So we brought this in to really take over the upper end of those Enforcer waist widths as our true inspired free skis. So that was the idea, the concept behind it, and yeah, it's been successful, very very successful since we launched it. We were surprised. We surprised ourselves last year. We're so dominated by Enforcer and Santana. We knew we had a lot of work to do to make some noise with another collection, and they were received very well, and we sold them into the market very well, and it's been received incredibly well. We're very happy and satisfied with where we're going, and making sure that the clarity is brought to our collection that is Unleashed is Nordica's free ski line.
Mm-hmm. And so I guess not only hitting on the main differences between something like the Unleashed and the Enforcer,
yep.
But also just talking construction-wise, what is going on here?
Yep. So the wood core, again, my exact blend of the wood isn't up to snuff as when we were testing and developing the skis. Definitely I knew, but it has kind of since left my brain. We use a little bit of a lighter wood core, but very similar to the Enforcer and the Santana. Not too much different. There's not necessarily a lot of space to move from there if you're going to talk about something that'll actually hold together with some of the conditions that these skis are going to be in. And then we used the Trans-Pacific metal technology. It was really cool to use the technology we developed on the women's side and then bring it over into both the men's and the women's. So, I love seeing that. Yeah. It's really, and we've actually done it in another line that we'll get to after this as well. But it's been actually the last two great ski technologies have come from bring it from the women's line and bring it into the men's line. And I think there's a reason for that we can get away with that. But yeah, so we used that because we found of how much it was appreciated, just that still having that metal in there, but allowing the skis to be a little bit more playful. Mm-hmm. And then of course we played with the shapes of the skis, right? A totally different rocker profile than we have on Enforcer and Santana. We have that much longer, slower rise in the tip, right? You have that side cut that continues past the contact point, and that is really appreciated, especially when you're slowing things down. You want to be a little bit more playful. We increased that radius in the tip, so it's a much sharper rise. We have a little bit higher rocker height as well, so it's going to be a little bit easier to schmear around in those the conditions that are these skis are intended to ski, and that's usually a little bit more off trail. Mm-hmm. They still ski awesome on trail, of course, but that's really what we're focusing on, is that playfulness when you get them off trail.
Yeah, and there is some versatility, I guess, on the on-piece side that I was actually surprised by as far as carving goes. Absolutely.
And it's interesting. There's a little bit more contact length on the Unleashed versus the Enforcer because we don't have such that long and slow rise. Mm-hmm. So we're able to, keep intact that on-trail performance. But we also found it was really appreciated by our athletes. They're like, wow, not necessarily having all that rocker, but having a little bit more of a platform was something they really appreciated and actually helped us develop.
Perfect. Well, let's just walk through the lineup. What do we have on the men's side to start?
On the men's side, we kick things off with the 114. This is the all-new ski this year. And, compared to the 108 and the 98, of course, we're a little bit wider. So it's going to be more soft snow oriented, right? This is what you consider your, our powder ski. And we opened up, I would say, the rocker depth just a little bit. We opened up the radius a little bit, but kept it, tried and true Unleashed skis for sure. So, yeah, this is all new, and our athletes immediately got on this thing last spring, and they were just they stole our prototypes. They were like, this thing is incredible, and it's been really fun to see how they jump on it, and that's typically a really good sign when they're like stealing the prototypes and like just immediately like, hey, when can I get them? And then we have the 108, and then we have the 98 as well.
Yeah, we've spent a good bit of time on the 98, 108, so I'm sure we'll be excited to get on the new one as well.
Yeah, no. And on the women's side, We have the Unleashed 108, which is a new introduction, and I would say that was one of the things that we knew it when we launched this category. We only had so many investment dollars because we had some kind of built up COVID investments that we needed to build, and we didn't have the sizing to necessarily build a women's specific dedicated models in those shorter lengths. So we did it this year, and we brought the 108 in as well, and then we have the 98. So.
Perfect. And is there anything construction-wise that is women-specific, or is there mostly?
There is, actually. So when we go from the men's to the women's, the actual core material is the same. We use the same terrain-specific metal technology. We just profile that core a little bit thinner, and that's simply because women are lighter. Men are about 10 to 15% heavier than men, or the men are 10 to 15% heavier than women. So they just don't need necessarily all that mass material. So we just make it so they're having the same experience that men and women have on them are equal. So
gotcha.
That's our differentiation.
Awesome. Anything else you want to touch on with the Unleashed?
No.
Yeah, well, I think hopefully we'll have some conditions this week.
I think today is going to be a good day, especially if it keeps snowing, to get out, especially on that new 114.
Excellent. All right. So I think there's a story to tell here as far as maybe the Wild Belle and how some of that technology has been applied. But let's just get into it. And what are we looking at here?
Yeah, so the Wild Belle we launched, this is now its third season, or its third rendition. So it's been in the market for 2 years. And Wild Belle was one of those categories that we were making skis before. They weren't named Wild Belle, but we were making skis. We just weren't selling them at the volume and the level that we felt like we should. And we came out with Wild Belle, and it was an instant success. And it was really driven on a couple of really cool technologies that we incorporated, and it was women-specific technology at the time, and that was our double core technology. So we literally take 2 wood cores and put the control material, as I call it, in the middle of the ski, and then put another wood core on the top. So we mill plain 4 pieces for a pair of skis, and it was really interesting to go through that process and see how that affected how the skis worked. And what we found was, and when you put the control material in the middle, you just didn't need as much of it. It didn't need to be as strong of a material as well to get kind of the attributes that you were aiming for by doing that. So it was a really cool, fun experience, and that paired with the way that we set up and actually stepped down a little bit in the heel plate there, because women have shorter feet, and they're always tend to be a little bit more jacked up on a traditional core profiling, right? So we just knocked it down a couple millimeters there on the women's side of it, and a couple of great technologies. And some skis that are priced right in the middle of the marketplace, and some waist Swiss as well, and it turned out to be very successful. So we offer the Wild Belle in an 84, a 78, and then a 74. Okay. So, and kind of the construction grades and your experience level kind of match along with those different waist Swiss as you kind of ratchet up.
And these are full camber skis?
Yeah, these are full camber. These are all mountain system skis, as we like to call them. They're great if you like to stick to the groomers. Fantastic. If there's still a little bit of mixed conditions out there, it gets a little bit choppy, like yesterday in the afternoon. Still great skis with that that little bit of a wider body for an all mountain ski or on trail ski. It's much appreciated, and it has a higher speed limit than a lot of people anticipate when they get on it. They're like thinking, oh, okay, all mountain system ski, like this is for kind of your novice skiers. But this is a great ski to have in your mix if you're an advanced intermediate, all the way up to kind of an expert level, depending on where you like to ski on the mountain.
Yeah. Add it to the quiver.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And how might you differentiate this ski versus something like a narrower Santa Ana or Enforcer?
Yeah, it definitely, you have that full traditional camber, right, and also the shape differences. So we have the rocker doesn't go nearly as deep. It's not as high. So your contact length is a little bit longer proportionally. So it's definitely more on trail oriented. A little bit more of an oversized tip in terms of its side cut. Little relieved in the tail there, so you can the tip will kind of pull itself around a little bit. So you can vary the length and radius of your turn. So totally different than the Santa Ana and Enforcer line.
Perfect. And let's get into it then with the Steadfast.
Yeah, so we saw such incredible success on the Wild Belle side with sell through, and that we were like, well, this is a no-brainer. Let's take what we did on the women's side and apply it to the men's side. And we came out with this new Steadfast line this year, and we had some skis there in the past. They were called Navigator. Mm-hmm. They were great skis. But they were getting old, and they were just always overshadowed by Enforcer. They were always called like the little brother, the baby brother of the Enforcer, and a customer constantly was told, the Enforcer is the best ski, and so that when they walked into the ski shop and they were like, well, you had the Steadfast, which was kind of the step down. They're like, well, I'll just spend an extra $100 and get the best from what everyone is telling me. So we kind of struggled with Navigator. We felt like they always skied really well, but they were overshadowed, and with the change of what we did on the women's side over to Wild Belle, we saw some success. And we called it a spade as this all mountain system category, mm-hmm. And we moved over to the men, and we call it Steadfast.
Gotcha.
We have the 85, we have an 80, and then also a 75 as well. Mm-hmm. A little bit of a different construction, still kicking things off of that double core construction there on the top end, but we put a sheet of metal in the middle of the 85 again. And just to support a little bit more weight, a little bit more dampness that we feel like we need in the men's skis. And then trickle it on down, just like we do with Wild Belle. So really fun shapes. I really encourage people to get out on them. They're really fun, especially if you like to do some more on-trail skiing.
Yeah, and that's new for 23-24.
All new.
All right, Very exciting. Well, you guys have some great new options in the mix and kind of, broadening some of the lines that we already know so well. So it's been great to talk through that and also see the brand new stuff that's happening.
Cool. Well, thanks. I love this event. It's been a blast.
Thanks. Yeah, hopefully we get out in snow later today.
Absolutely.
All right. Thanks.
Thanks.